into Madness plays Deadlight. Journey with us to the green orchard where madness tastes as sweet as the fruit that grows there. Do you dare take a bite?
Welcome, dear listeners, to the very first episode of Descent into Madness as we play Deadlight. Tonight, we step into the shadows of the unknown, a tale of isolation, fear, and all things that are left undiscovered. Arkham, Massachusetts, the town of our setting, well, for the most part of this horrific tale. It is a town steeped in shadow, its history thick with whispered curses and the echoes of old witchcraft. It is a witch-cursed town. Here, the unnatural is a part of life, a secret shared by the scholars of Miskatonic University and the unfortunate souls who have dared look too long into the abyss. Strange occurrences, cult secrets, and horrors lurking beyond human comprehension. This is the heartbeat of Arkham. Before we begin, a special thanks to Chaosium for creating this wonderful offering to our elder gods, Call of Cthulhu 7th edition. Make sure that you check out all of their works and join us for this madness. So settle in, turn down the lights, and steel your nerves. The storm is rolling in, and something unnatural is waiting on the roadside. Let's begin. The year is 1923. We are starting into what would be better known as Prohibition in the United States. Yes, chaos reigns as criminal organizations rise, and the fall of liquor, well, at least for what our government says, is starting to disappear the need for it. But we're not focused on that. We look at Arkham, a beautiful town by the wayside. As I've mentioned before, the occult and the macabre run deep within its veins. As you stare out into the ocean, it looks as if chaos is already starting to reign in. For the last couple of days, storms have started to affect the city itself. Telephone lines down, power issues, and so on and so forth. They believe that a hurricane is starting to move in, or that's the story of the day. But seeing the large thunderheads that sit over dark, inky water as the sound of thunder and lightning affects those that are in the inland. But let's not worry about that. As we focus onto Arkham University, or Miskatonic University, better known, as two very large Ford Model Ts sit there with 4 students as well as 2 professors packing up the vehicle for their trip to Boston for the academic fun. The Miskatonic Academic Gladiators are getting prepared for what is to be an amazing weekend of fun in the great and glorious city of Boston. But for most people, there are some things that trouble and sit on the mind itself. More importantly, Professor Hugo, who sits by himself watching his students pack his car, Sterling Winters and Mr. Timothy Butterford, as a very large and portly professor, belly that extends even farther, begins to walk up to Hugo himself and is laughing under his big handlebar mustache beard. Oh, Hugo! Can you not believe that we'll be heading to Boston soon and completely paid by the university itself? Are you ready for this, my dear boy?
Oh, well, couldn't be more excited, my compatriot in academia. These are the moments that we live for.
I hear you've got some pretty good competition this year, but you've got 2 good challengers as well, too. I've heard Sterling and Butterford have been very well in your class as of late. What do you think of them?
Oh, both students are academic rarities. These gems have shown an incredible aptitude throughout the semester, and they also have a bit of interesting traits. One a bit of a hubris, and the other a true Gaston for the learning. Yeah, very nice.
Well, I tell you what, they look like two amazing young bucks, and they'll definitely bring back the gold this year. I'm excited for it. Now, my dear friend, I had heard from the head of the department that you'll be making a pit stop along the way.
That's right, Headmaster. Yeah, we have a bit of just a detour, if you will. But no worries. It'll be swift and intentional. And then off to the gladiation.
So as we take a pause and Professor Hugo thinks about the stop itself, he remembers who it is for. It's for Dr. Godfrey Webb, a dear friend of his. As he starts to think about the letter that he had read earlier in the week, speaking of things of true nature that he wishes to bestow upon him. For Professor Hugo, Dr. Godfrey Webb was the closest to a friend he'd had at Miskatonic University. They had been so close, in fact, that they had joined the same occult research society, discussing things of the macabre and ways that they felt that they could better humanity, looking into magic, witchcraft per se. Dr. Godfrey Webb was probably one of the best known medical professionals, as well as one of the best surgeons in the Arkham area, more specifically at Miskatonic University. And you know for a fact that he had money, always wore the best suits or the best cars, and even when he took you out to dinner multiple times and managed to get you your job there at the university itself, it always seemed like he was there for you, regardless of what was going on. But there was an issue about a year or two ago where he was brought before an academic board and told that he was supposedly moonlighting outside of Miskatonic University, performing surgery and medical procedures that was not known by the university itself. And even though this led to great scandal within the medical offices there at Miskatonic, it was almost as if it was swept under the rug. It was a large, big affair, met in front of an academic board, but then ultimately, well, it was just a quiet suspension. And then after that, his office was cleared. And soon, he decided to leave Arkham itself, not telling you, and only sending you a letter from time to time to let you know how things were. As Professor Dalen looks at you, as you think about this and your dear friend in the letter that sits in your pocket currently, he begins to chortle yet again.
So, just to make sure, it's just a pit stop. You're sure this storm that's coming in currently right now will be quite severe? I've heard it's the storm of the century to hit us.
I mean, I understand the storm giving you the heebie-jeebies, Professor Dalen, but a man of my constitution doesn't have to worry about such things, and I've got such incredible students with me that will weather any storm, metaphorical or literal.
I don't think I've ever had a moment to talk with these students. So you know what? Let's go over and let's talk with them.
Well, why not?
The two professors start to saunter over to the students that are starting to pack the vehicle, whereas the other vehicle is a little farther up, and they're also getting packed as well. But we meet and begin to see Sterling Winters and Butterford as there are certain suitcases that are laying around, little supplies here and there that are laying by their feet. And let's go ahead and take a minute, and Timothy Butterford, explain yourself. What do you look like, and what is Timothy Butterford?
Timothy is kind of lithe, lean guy. He's average. He doesn't tend to apply himself much in class, but his professors can tell that he is smart, so he can be a bit frustrating. And he is on this excursion begrudgingly, because if he's not, he will fail his classes.
What about you, Sterling?
Sterling Winters is a man who is ahead of his class, ahead of his family, only child with dumb parents, wishes to stand out in his community and show off to the professor.
As you see the two professors approach, Professor Dalen looks at both of you and goes,
Hello there, dear lads. We're going to have quite a weekend there in Boston. Are you prepared for this competition?
Always.
As much as one can be.
it seems like you still have a couple of bags left. Are you sure that you're taking all of this with you?
We need to be prepared.
All right. And, well, just, Professor, make sure that they get to Boston safely. I believe that the information has been told to you about the hotel and the phone number itself. He has provided you with a slip of paper.
Oh, yes.
That
Somewhere
has-
in here I have that. Yes, somewhere. Slip of paper, hotels, no big deal. Oh. Professor Hugo kicks the tire. Give it for good measure.
You give it a kick and it's pretty sturdy. Even for these vehicles, they're these big black Ford models that, brand spanking new. The Miskatonic spends its money wisely, even though sometimes they'll tend to get things secondhand itself. But this car is pretty sturdy in its own way. Of course, it has gold embroidery on both sides of the car itself that say Miskatonic University with maybe a little number underneath it. It's to build up the current reputation of not getting enough students in every academic year. Now, as Professor Dalen looks at all of you and wishes you the best and everything, he tells you to be careful, and then he looks back at Professor Hugo.
So, Professor, if you do ultimately go on this pit stop itself, you'll at least have somewhere you can stay or be able to find a hotel.
Oh, well, I mean, I brought a map, so let me just see where that map's at. Yeah, we'll have a place.
You begin to remember a certain trip that you'd taken before, and per the letter that had been written to you, it was mention of the Green Orchard Station and Diner. Now, being there before and having had to have stayed there, they do have a little bit of a bed and breakfast that's not too far away from them.
Yeah, if I do recall, there's a nice bed and breakfast along the pit stop. I know the area well.
That's good, my dear friend. Just be safe, all of you, regardless of what's going on. Well, I think I gotta go see about my other students, and we need to get this trip underway.
And he starts to chortle as he does this little penguin walk over to the other students who are finishing packing the first car. And you see him kind of get into the front seat and he goes,
Oh, it's been a while since I've driven one of these things.
and he hits the horn and honks once or twice, excited, turning the wheel itself. But soon they finish packing their car and they load everything up and they start to head off in a different road to a different way to Boston. Whereas you all begin to pack the car as well too. And as you do, off in the distance, the storm feels as if it's getting closer and closer. The sound of thunder and lightning can be heard off in the distance. And just knowing that this impending doom may come upon you kind of provides a sense of fear in its own way. But maybe, just maybe, if you start now on your trip, you'll be able to get away from it. As the car is loaded, you begin to sit into the seats. Who is driving exactly? Would you, Professor, or would you have one of your students do this?
Well, usually my valet would be driving, but according to the university's requirements, I must be in charge of this vehicle for insurance purposes, etc., etc.
Professor, I'd like to offer my driving expertise. I graduated top of my driving instructions, and I will not disappoint.
Would you like to take a test drive here and show me what you got?
Yes, I would, actually.
Oh, right. Well, fine.
Test drive is in what, like a little circle of the. You're in front
I'll
of
do
Miss.
donuts in the parking lot. If you want.
There's Miskatonic has a little bit of a roundabout at the front entrance itself. Do you want to try to get him to drive around this little circle real quick?
Yeah, well, actually, I packed all the provisions, but I have no snacks for the road. Why don't you take me to the filling station just over there and back, and we'll get some snacks, and we'll just see if you are cut out for this long haul.
Well, perfect. I'll consider I already have the job.
So you get into the car. You all start to load in the car. Imagine you sit in the passenger seat with Sterling taking the wheel, and then you're sitting in the back, maybe managing the bags itself. And Sterling, what I need you to do is, can you please give me a drive auto roll, please?
Will do. 6.
6. Oh, an extreme success. He drives so perfectly. He puts it perfectly between the lines of the road. He signals, he even yells out the window, hey, I'm making my left turn now, trying to keep everything aware. He perfectly follows traffic laws all the way to this little pit stop area for you guys to get loaded up on supplies and snacks.
Do I fall asleep? Can I roll to see if I fell asleep during the
You
trip?
give me a constitution roll for just this tiny little trip to the gas station that's right up the street.
It's looking like a 43.
What's your con at the top?
That's a 40.
That's a 43. Yeah, he drives so perfectly it almost hums you to sleep. And
Very nice.
you would have a map that was possibly provided as far as where you're going to in a general way. And as you load up on snacks and supplies and drinks, this newfangled glass cola that everyone keeps talking about from time to time, you hop into the car and begin to head out of Arkham itself. The drive itself feels almost calming. It's calm before the storm, peaceful. But even as you drive an hour, hour and a half, to now a full 2 hours, the storm itself has felt like it has a mind of its own. It's now upon you. The rain is starting to come down hard. So hard, in fact, it almost feels like it's sideways. The sound, winds, howling. It feels as if you were caught in the tempest itself. And as you drive to the location that you were told via the map, you notice that the trees themselves are large, dark, ominous figures. You are in deep within the pines, as they would say. Just shallow ground, flat as can be, but very large and dark pines. The lightning and the thunder only showing quick little glances of things in between. Maybe you see a little animal run by, maybe a little rabbit. But regardless, as the rain gets worse and worse, the windshield wipers on this car begin to go as quickly as they possibly can. And it can only do so much as you drive Sterling. You can barely see 5 feet in front of you. It's so cluttered and the mess and everything in itself. Can you please give me another drive harder roll, please?
31.
31. What is your drive roll? That's regular success?
My drive auto is 20.
Okay, so
It's a bump.
as you're trying to stay focused, even with this torrential rain, with everything going on, lightning and thunder and everything, this mass, this tempest that's upon you itself, all of a sudden, a white figure runs out from the trees in front of the car.
Sterling, watch out!
I'm trying.
As this happens, you grip the wheel and try to turn it as quickly as you can, nearly missing this figure. As you try to keep it onto the road, you swerve in and out, and the car almost slides, and then all of a sudden you hear a very large honk as the car is completely solid steel, stuck in what sounds like mud in the ditch that you've landed in. And the white figure is back behind you as you stare in the mirrors and see it laying on the road itself. What would you like to do?
Well, I'm really glad I was driving, or else someone else would have hit that white figure.
I think I see something back there. I think it's still lying in the roadway. I elect that one of us should go investigate whatever's out there.
I'd like to admit
I'll take it
myself.
out.
Thank you.
Okay.
Master Butterfield.
I want to walk around and see what's going on with the white figure.
You step out of the car and the rain is so bad that you have to, even if you have a raincoat, you're trying to hold up your jacket itself, but you're getting soaked, even within minutes. And they're not even a minute away from you. You start to walk towards this figure that you can see that it's breathing, but it has long hair. It almost has female-like features to this figure. And as you get closer and closer, you can hear raspy breathing. And the figure that's before you is wearing a white dress, one shoe, the other one appears to have gone missing. And from the bits of any sort of skin revealed, there's cuts and bruises as if they've been running. you would have generally assumed that if they were running out of the forest, maybe thickets had caught onto their hands and whatnot. But the figure just stays laying and breathing, not looking at you.
Ma'am, are you all right?
My grandfather. He got my grandfather.
Who's he? Who got your grandfather?
The grandfather. This light grabbed him. I need help. I need help. You're staring at this figure as you can hear it say this from behind them, essentially. What do you want to do?
I'm gonna look over and motion to them to come help. I wanna prop her up.
As you begin to prop her up, you start to get a better look at her, even facial features, and there's just more serious bruising and stuff. It's, possibly hitting trees and whatnot. But one of the biggest bruises that you notice is a slight, large, purplish looking bruise across her forehead. It's very bad with how deep and purple it is. If you would like to, seeing as you are staring directly at it, you can give me a first aid or a medical roll if you would like.
I'll do a first aid roll.
Okay.
85.
85. Also do me a favor and give me a spot hidden roll, please, seeing as you're looking at her so close.
27.
27?
25.
Oh, okay. Regardless, what you see before you is you see a woman that's probably in her early 20s. She's battered, bruised, and scarred. She has a gaunt-like look as if she's barely had any sleep. She's thin and gaunt looking herself. And she just keeps muttering over and over, my grandfather is in danger. We need to go find him. We need to go find him.
Sure. Who's your grandfather?
He's a doctor of some sorts. I need help, please. I'm
Sure.
so cold.
Guys, come on.
Butterfield, why don't we give her some of my coffee I got from the filling station? Maybe that'll help her constitution.
Sure.
Are you stepping under the car to be able to walk over?
I'd like to step out of the car.
I'll stay here and man the car.
Okay, so you're staying there, sitting in the driver's seat, manning the car. Professor, you've stepped out, and it's the same thing. The rain is so bad, and you're getting soaked quickly as you run up to Butterford and this woman laying on the ground. And you can see battered bruises. You can see thicket marks. You can even see this large bruise that's across her forehead. If you would like, you can give me a medical or first aid roll if you'd like.
Can I do a roll to see if I recognize this individual?
You don't recognize this individual.
Oh, okay, then let's first aid this gal. It's gonna be an 81.
The bruising looks is what you'd assume somebody who was running through the woods would have bruising-wise. Why don't you go ahead and give me a spot hidden roll as well, too, seeing as you're looking at her.
62.
Interesting. What is your spot hidden?
25.
Okay, so you're staring at this figure that's laying here in Butterford's arms, and it just keeps talking over and over again about her grandfather and needing to get help for him. There's a danger. She begins to talk about a light that started to hurt people.
She just keeps repeating this. She's saying something about her grandfather's in danger and...
Will we take her with us?
Yeah.
I think that'll get in the way of our studies. We should hurry up and keep moving.
Sterling, seeing as you're still sitting in the car itself, can you give me a power roll? At the top of anybody's sheet, what's written is your basic characteristics and stats. Mm-hmm. One of those is written as POW, or power. This is basically your willpower to sense anything, any sort of danger, or just simply if some evil being wants to take control of you. It's completely up to me as the keeper to describe this. So please give me a power roll.
My power is a 70, so I usually have a pretty good gut feeling about things. I rolled an 89.
Okay. So as you roll an 89,
Well done, Mr. Winters.
You roll an 89, and even as you sit there in the car, you have goosebumps that start to build onto your arm and hands, and you think to yourself that you feel as if you're being watched, but you look out, and the rain is still pouring. There's the occasional lightning and thunder, but you swear, you keep looking as if you feel something is watching you from the trees itself, but I'm not sure. As we cut back to the professor and Butterford laying with this woman, what would you all like to do? The rain is coming in, you guys are getting soaked along with her.
I say we take her back to the car, get out of the rain.
I choose to read a letter that I have been hiding from them all along.
Do you want to read it out here in the rain as it soaks the letter?
No. Unbelievable. We gotta get this woman back in the car. This is an insurance
As
nightmare.
I said.
I'll be fired from the university.
Professor, you think to yourself that there is the cafe that's intended for your meeting. Mm-hmm. It's maybe at most probably a 20-minute drive from here.
Maybe some medical professional will be nearby. We just get her to the cafe and get ourselves out of this ditch, and we'll sort this whole thing out.
Y'all both inspected this girl and found nothing on her? Nothing about her?
So you're still in the car. So have y'all moved here? Sorry, I'm trying to keep everything together.
Shouting from
You spoke to me, I thought you were back in the car.
I want to try to carry her back to the car.
I think we should carry her back to the vehicle.
You start to carry her back to the car, and Sterling, you see them start to bring this figure with them, this figure that you saw run out in front of the car, and it is a woman in her early 20s. She has bruising, a very large purple bruise across her forehead itself. Can you do me a favor? Can you give me a spot hidden roll?
Absolutely.
As she is placed into the car itself?
Let's see what I can find. My spot hidden was a 65. 72.
Okay. You see a woman in her early 20s with obvious bruising, and she looks out of it and keeps muttering things under her breath the entire time. And as you all get into the car itself, you are soaked. Your clothes are soaked. You feel cold. Even in March, it feels as if the wind and the way that this hurricane-like storm is moving in, it's provided some sort of cold front, and you have a bit of a chill to the bone. But you are all sitting in this car that is currently stuck in a ditch because of certain driving. And what would you like to do at this point?
Well, I'd like to look to see if I've packed a rain slicker.
So I'll say that more than likely you can run out. You run out and you open the trunk itself. The big door kind of squeaks open, and you find your bag and you crack it open. And you see that you do have some coats and obviously a rain slicker itself. And you throw that on, and you are adorned in a little poncho.
Just try to start it back up, and
Absolutely. I'll stay in the car and try to start it back
I'll
up.
push it as you put it in reverse.
Excellent.
Can I do that?
Yes. So what we'll do is we'll have you do a strength roll. And then what I'm going to have Sterling do is I need you to do a luck roll for me, please.
A luck roll.
So let's go ahead and get strength first. Strength needs to succeed first.
Gosh. 67.
Okay. So the strength did not succeed. He tries, he's pushing the car, and you start to hit the gas. You try to give it a little gas and move the vehicle out, but the tires are spinning, mud is slicking all over the place. The car is still stuck.
Master Sterling, my bones aren't made for this anymore.
Well,
60-year-old man.
You're
Try
absolutely
pushing
correct.
together.
Perhaps Timothy should go out since Timothy is already soaking wet, and we should preserve my dryness, and I'll start the car again while Timothy pushes. Let's try that.
So what we can do, if you want to, you can step out of the car as well too and help the professor. We will have you both roll strength, and we will see who has the better success to it.
Amazing.
I'll get out and push.
Okay. Timothy, you get back out and push with the professor.
19.
That's a 19, wow.
62.
Okay. You both start to push, and even as you try to push, Professor, there's still, your strength is just quite not there. But it feels as if Butterford could almost do this with just one hand, as he just simply pushes on the car, And can you do me a favor? Can you give me a luck roll, please, Mr.
Absolutely.
Winters?
My luck is 65. It tends to be pretty good over here. 63.
Okay. So
Eking it out.
you start to push and push and push, and mud slings here and there. It feels as if the tires themselves are not going to catch back onto the gravel of the road. But after about a minute or so, as you push, the car begins to slowly move its way back onto the road, and you are set back onto the path itself. And you guys have managed to get the car out of the ditch. What do you want to do?
Timothy to go slap on the back, that's for sure.
Thank you, Professor.
I knew I could see those biceps.
Some of us are a bit
popping.
more helpful than others.
Yes, some of us are helpful than others in driving, and some of us are more helpful than others in pushing a car.
Butterford and Professor Hugo, can you please both give me a power roll as you successfully get the car back onto the road?
60.
54.
So who succeeded?
I did not succeed.
Did not succeed. You succeeded?
I did.
Okay. You feel as you did this process of trying to get the car out, the storm is still coming down, lightning begins to strike again, and out of your peripheral, you begin to see something between the trees. Lightning strikes, but then it's almost as if there's a light that remains, almost circular, a blue light. It glows brighter and brighter, as if you feel it's looking at you. It moves between the trees as if a predator looking at prey, and it just moves, almost watching you. It glows and glows and glows, and then lightning strikes again, and the light disappears. Can you give me a sanity roll, please?
Sanity. Looking like a 63.
And what is your sanity?
70.
Okay, so you will take 1 point of sanity damage as you think to yourself that maybe it's just the lightning getting to you, maybe some sort of reflection amongst the forest floor. Nah, it's nothing. It's nothing to worry about as of right now. At least you've got the car out. You both jump back inside, and I'm assuming Sterling begins to start it up, and it starts up pretty easily. And you begin to follow the map, of course, with the professor assisting you as you start to tunnel your way up the road. It's another 20 or something so odd minutes, and even as you move between the trees, they feel more ominous. They feel larger, taller, almost as if they're made out of dark wood. The rain is worse. Thunder and lightning still occurs from time to time. And as you continue to drive with Amelia, she just keeps muttering under herself. The light is going to hurt my grandfather. I need to get back to him. I need to get back to him. She starts to almost nod off in a way. She sits in the back seat with, I'm assuming, Butterford. You start to see her almost nod off.
I shake her a little. I'm like, whoa, don't leave me here.
Sorry, it's just been running for so long.
Sure.
So very, very long.
Where were you running from? How did you get here?
From the cottage that I live at with my grandfather. We were living there together, and then she winces and grabs at the swollen mark that's on her head, and she kind of almost begins to get even quieter, if that's a way to put it, and she winces in pain, and she goes, just all I remember is a light. It's so bright. It's so very bright. Whew. You keep driving and driving and driving, and eventually you come upon what you would know as the Green Orchard Diner and Gas Station. It's a pretty simple looking gas station. There's about 3 buildings as you pull up to it, but the biggest thing that you notice as you pull up to the facility itself is that you notice a large truck with a trailer has somehow managed to wind up, not sideways like on its side, it's just pulled over both lanes of traffic, with the door to the driver's side is open and left open as if it's been abandoned there in the middle of the road. The neon sign and the lights from within the diner, you can see little shadows of figures moving around about it. All of that is on, except for the other two buildings. A very large barn-like structure and what looks to be an office type of sorts, but it also has a little dingy sign that hangs from it in wooden and bad writing that definitely needs to be retouched soon, that says bed and breakfast on it. As you approach the gas station, and only has one pump because being out here in the middle of nowhere, there's probably not enough business for them to need more than one gas pump. And as you pull up to the diner itself, you see that it is human beings inside of the restaurant. And you're sitting there in the car in front of this diner with Amelia. So what would you all like to do?
I told you there were people here. I have to read you this letter. I pull out this letter from my breast pocket, and I explain that an old colleague, my dear friend, Professor Godfrey Webb, had sent me this. And I pause as I look over his writing again, debate if I'm going to actually say it or if I should keep my peace, and then I decide I'm going to read it. To Professor Hugo E. Perseburger. Hugo, I have sinned, not in the petty way of men who cheat or steal or covet, but in the way that damns the soul beyond redemption. I have looked upon something not meant for mortal eyes, touched something that should have remained untouched, and in my arrogance, I have kept it. God forgive me, I have kept it. For years, I've convinced myself that my work was that of a scholar and that I was unraveling the unknown in the pursuit of knowledge, but there are things that must not be known. Hugo, I see that now. The weight of my folly bears down upon me, and I fear that when I die, and I will die soon, my soul will be lost to something far worse than hellfire. I cannot meet my Maker with this secret upon my lips. It festers, it demands confession, but no priest would understand. No man of faith could ever bear the knowledge without succumbing to madness. But you, Hugo, you're a man of reason. You will listen, you will see. I beg you, come to me at once. I do not dare put into writing the horrors I have witnessed, the blasphemies I have committed, but I must tell you, I must before it's too late. And pray before you come. Pray that whatever is left of my soul can still be saved. Dr. Godfrey Webb, that's what he wrote to me. And I seized this opportunity to reach out to a friend.
As you say the last bit from Dr. Godfrey Webb, Amelia from the back begins to stir at the name, and she looks at you and she goes, "How do you know my grandfather?"
Uh-oh. Well, she might be concussed. It might be an error of cognition. What do you mean, your grandfather?
It's my grandfather, Dr. Godfrey Webb. That's who you were talking about, right? That's who wrote you the letter.
Of course, yes, Dr. Godfrey Webb. That's my old colleague and one of my best friends at university.
He's my grandfather, and I think he's in danger.
Where is he, lass? We have to find him.
She winces in pain again, grabbing at this, whatever this bruise is, and it starts to hurt even more and more. And she goes, "It's just at the cottage. I can't remember it. I was running for so long, and it just hurts. It hurts to think about it. We might be able to go a certain way. We need to get somewhere warm. I just need to be able to rest. I have to sit somewhere.
All right, well, you heard the gal. We gotta get her inside. Should we take her into the diner, or should we put her in that massive truck blocking the roadway?
Probably take her into the
I
diner
would
and see
say
if her
the
grandfather's in there, right? He said he'd meet you at the diner?
Wait a second. Wait. Yes, he said meet at the Green Orchard gas station and diner. Yes, we should go into the gas station and diner.
Take her in there.
Yes.
Okay. So you proceed to step out of the vehicle, and the rain is still coming down heavy. The storm is still driving in full force, and you manage to make your way into the diner itself. And as you enter the diner, it's almost has a yellow-like hue, peaceful in its own way, sitting perfectly still. But what you see as you open up the doorway, you kind of come in through what looks to be like a side entrance. There's what you would deem as an L-shaped like bar that runs alongside of it. There's tiles on the floor that have a certain hue and color to them. Booths that line the edges of the windows itself. And as you walk in, you see a good little group of people sitting within the facility itself. As you're staring at everyone that's inside of here, you see an elderly couple. They're kind of sitting on the same side of the booth and just sitting close to each other. And as they are eating their soup, as you enter, they kind of like wave and, hi, how are you? Hello. And behind them, further back, you see two grown men that appear to be in a bit of a heated discussion, talking, but it's so low and mumbling and grumbling you wouldn't be able to make it out from where you're standing. And last but not least, you see behind the L-shaped bar who's cleaning the counter itself, you see a woman that appears to be in her early 20s, and she kind of looks at all of you and she goes, hello, you could take a seat where, and she pauses. She looks over and sees Amelia standing right next to you all. Amelia? What are you doing here? What is wrong with you? What? She begins to make her way. Does anyone have any psychology or psychoanalysis?
I have
A 1 in 10.
Yeah.
same.
She looks as if she's concerned, and she starts to make her way down the L-shaped bar towards you all, and she walks up to Amelia and just kind of holds her. Amelia, what is wrong with you? What happened? What are you doing here right now? Amelia kind of winces again in pain, and she goes, something happened at the cottage, and something has my grandfather. Amelia begins to kind of almost fall into the first booth that she can. She sits there, and Mary kind of in a concerning like hunched down. She looks at her and is trying to keep her upright. She goes, who are these people? Who are these people that are with you? And Amelia just goes, they found me in the road. Almost ran into their car. I don't know what I was thinking. And the waitress looks up at all of you, and you can clearly see a little name badge, and it says Mary Laker across it. Mary looks up at you all. She's 5'1"-ish, kind of. She has a little bit of a bob. To put it in the best way, she's 19, 20 years old. She's a very young-looking woman. She has a traditional-looking waitress outfit on. It has a little bit of a green hue and a white-like collar, a bit of an apron. She's definitely coffee stains, various things across her from working at the diner itself. And Mary looks at you all and she goes, sorry, it's just see a woman like this and random strangers taking her somewhere. You just think the possible worst. My name is Mary. Who are you all?
Well, Mary, I mean, to toot my own horn here, but I'm a professor at Arkham University, and these are two of my finest students. We're on the way to at an academic competition, so we were just hoping to get along. Do you know why this road is blocked? This vehicle?
One of the gentlemen, and she kind of points back towards the booth where you see two people that are sitting there. There's a kind of more well-kept man, but then from the back you can see almost a longer hair gentleman that has like a rougher looking coat. You're only looking at him from the back, who is just mumbling, and that's who Mary is pointing at. And she goes, it's Jake Burns. He's a farmer from around here. He abandoned his car and ran inside here, kept yelling about some light that he saw in the road. He swears he almost hit it.
It's interesting. Didn't you...
She was saying she saw a
Something
light.
about a light.
Yeah.
Amelia perks up just a little bit hearing that and goes, a light? What type of light? Mary kind of cuts her off and starts to go, he's probably in the booze again, Amelia. Whatever he's managed to sneak himself this time, who knows? He's probably making things himself up at his farm. Just don't worry about it. Look, can I get you all some food, do coffee or anything?
That would be great.
Okay, cream and sugar.
Sure.
Black, please. Thank you.
Black.
Yeah, black.
Amelia, what do you want? And Amelia just goes, just water, porridge, if you have it, or soup, whatever. She's still she's in and out of it, but she almost keeps looking outside, expecting to see something amongst the tree and the reins and sit across the roadway itself. And Mary goes, yeah, of course, give me a second and I'll start to do that. She gets up, walks down the way to the booth of the two gentlemen, and you see her kind of lean over and start to say something to the more well-kept gentleman. He's in a full suit with a tie, the well-kept gentleman that she's talking to, and he has a very bad comb-over. He's clearly bald, has a very bad comb-over, but the hair runs around his sides. Big, bushy, like eyebrows that are upon his face, and a big, bushy mustache that sits underneath here. Obviously, that's the only facial hair that he has because everything is well kept and clean. And he kind of looks up at Mary, a little frustrated, but he kind of shakes off the man that he's talking to, and he goes, "Oh, the food, yeah, no problem. I'll get right on that." And he stands up and starts to make his way to the kitchen, and you start to hear kind of banging and cleaning pots as he's cooking or putting together whatever he can. Mary goes and gets coffee and water, cream and sugar. She starts to walk it over on a little tray and make her way over to you all, and she sets it down and places it in front of you all, and water. And as she does, she starts to talk to Amelia again. Amelia, where is your grandfather at? And Amelia looks from the outside back to Mary and goes, I'm not sure. All I know is that he might still be at the cottage. I think he's hurt. I think something must have happened. We need to get back to him whenever we can. I'm not sure. She winces in pain more, and she begins to speak of the light again. She talks about it. She talks about how large, glowing of a mass it is, and that it appeared out of nowhere. She doesn't remember much. She feels as if she was hit by something, not too sure, and begin to run away.
I'd like to inquire with Mary for a second about getting Amelia maybe a damp cloth or a bag of ice or something for her head.
Mary thinks to herself, and she kind of shakes her head and knowingly, and she goes, I think that would be the best. Hold on one second. And she goes to leave to walk back on the bar and find whatever ice tray that she can in the ice box itself, and kind of chop some of it up and begin to put it in a rag and bring it back over to Amelia. And Amelia kind of holds it and winces at pain at first as she holds this rag to her head. and it starts to hurt just a little bit, and she goes, but then she begins to calm down and breathe a little bit more as you see the gentleman from earlier, the more well-kept gentleman, show up with a tray and has some food and a little assortment of everything, and he sets it down and he goes, here's the food that you ordered, and he puts the porridge in front of Amelia, and then he goes, we don't have much. Due to the storm and everything, we haven't had a resupply truck come through. They're dealing with a couple of downed trees down the road itself, so the best I have is a little bit of eggs and bacon and pancakes if you all need it. And he sets those all down in front of you. He looks at you all as well too and goes, Mary, are these the folks from Arkham that you were telling me about? And Mary goes, yes, for you all. This is Sam Keelam. He's the manager here. It's nice to meet you all. Good to see that we have some visitors, at least for today. And hopefully, maybe I might actually be able to make a profit at this point. At least you all didn't come in here yelling and screaming. That's a big plus for me tonight. Why is Miss Amelia Webb with you all, though? And Mary kind of stops and looks at him like, how do I explain this? But it feels as though Sam is he's kind of pushing it a little bit more and is looking at you, not really at the younger students, and just goes, why is she with you?
Motion for Sam to come over and chat with me privately for a moment.
I walk towards the professor.
You're all sitting in a booth right now, by the way. Sorry, I forgot to mention that. You're all sitting in the booth, and Sam and Mary are with you. But you say you want to step aside with Sam.
I'm going to step aside with Sam for just a second.
Okay. So you both get up and kind of saunter over to a little area away from the students and Mary and Amelia.
Listen, Sam, we've got business, a big academic compendium, but between men, I've got some business with her grandfather. Have you seen the man, the Webb?
You mean her grandfather?
Yeah, that's right.
No, not tonight in particular. I mean, sometimes he'd come by for dinner from time to time, but he mostly keeps to himself up there at his cottage.
When was the last time you'd estimate he was around?
He thinks to himself, kind of pondering, looking up at the roof, and he goes, honestly, about a day or two ago, for all I know. I remember him about a week ago. We had sent a letter off for him to Arkham.
How far is it in the rain to get to this cabin of his that she keeps talking about?
Well, it's pretty easy to miss. It's a little mud trail that runs up to the cottage itself. You'd have to head back down the road as if you're going towards Arkham, but then it's off to the right in between some of the trees. I can try and come up with some sort of little makeshift map if need be.
Yeah, if you don't mind, we want to get her back home and everything, and I've got an old friend to see, so I'll make it worth your time. I give you an extra tip if that helps,
Well, any sort of money will be great.
I got you, bud.
Can you do me a favor? Can you give me a credit rating roll, please?
Sure can. 58 credits.
Dang. So you have 58, you have 50. You don't technically have to fail. One of the biggest things in this game is if you want to, you can either spend luck or you can push the roll. You never have to fail, but if you do spend luck points in Call of Cthulhu, you start off with a luck value. And as you start off with the luck value, at any point, if you can spend the right amount of points to get yourself to a regular success, you can. So say an occasion you had 70 luck and you wanted to be able to spend 5 to get down to a success, you can. However, be warned, once you spend the luck is gone. So when I ask later for you to roll luck, you're not rolling under the original 70, you're now rolling under 65. Now for you, you're only 8 points away from success. You could spend the 8 points of luck, or you could tell me in a different way how you can show yourself off as having money and push your roll. If you push your roll, I'll you roll your die again, But do keep in mind, if you fail a second time, I will take it as a critical failure, and I will have all the fun in the world.
Why don't I push that roll? Just a little bit of extra. So I want to convince our friend Sam, Manager Sam, that I've had a long tenure at the university, and I come from a long line of very wealthy Perseburgers. The Perseburger fortune goes, vaults and vaults, kind of thing. So I allude to the medallion around my neck, which, has the Perseburger crest on it. And I think anybody in their right mind would recognize a thing of value like that.
Okay.
34.
And you succeed.
Hey!
At first he kind of is a little off-putting, but then he manages to bring it back as you show the medallion, and his eyes kind of light up a little bit, and he goes, if there's a little bit of money involved, I could definitely make sure that you have a proper map. Just give me a second or so. And he starts to go towards the L-shaped bar and maybe possibly making his way to a back office to try and find pen and paper for himself. While that is happening and you're having this discussion, you all are sitting over at the booth itself. While you're sitting there, you see the older couple from a little bit farther back begin to talk a little, and Timothy, the older gentleman, kind of gets up and he starts talking a little loud for his wife. He goes,
Winifred, well, it looks like we've been sitting here for a while and the storm's not letting up. I think I need to use the John, if you don't mind. I'm gonna make my way out there. And
Sam starts to walk by him and he kind of stops and he goes,
my dear man, I do apologize. Where's your bathroom at?
And Sam goes, oh, yes, sir. He provides him with a key. He goes, it's the outhouse. You have to walk around to the backside of the building. It's right off to the right here. Can you both give me a constitution roll, please? You've had some coffee.
36.
62.
Okay, so who succeeded better?
I'm 55, so you
I'm
definitely.
70.
Okay, so you failed. Sterling, as you're sitting there, you've had a little bit of coffee and you can't help yourself. You've got to use the bathroom as well, too. So are you sitting inside the booth or are you sitting on the outside?
Oh, I'm deep in the booth.
You're deep in the booth. So he kind of starts to do his own little dance and he starts to kind of push you out of the way as you get up with him. And the older gentleman, Timothy, who has the laboratory key, is starting to walk past you and he sees you kind of doing a little dance as well, too. And he goes, young man, what's wrong with you? You need to use the facilities as well? I got the key.
Yes, I believe that I do, but my colleague here is being very stubborn in their booth seat.
Well, come on, old man. He looks at you, Timothy. He goes, come on, let him out. He's got to obviously use the bathroom.
All right. Go use the restroom.
Thank you, Timothy. I would expect no less treatment for the driver of your trip.
Certainly.
Timothy lets you out of the booth and you stand with this older gentleman. You start to make your way to the door and the older gentleman grabs an umbrella and cracks it open. He leads you outside of the diner and you both make your way. You come out and around and you walk almost to what would be the left of it if you were staring right at the diner, and you see an outhouse, and Timothy can tell that you have to really use the bathroom, so he kind of gives you the key and he goes,
you know what, young man, you go ahead first. I may be old, but I think I can hold it a little bit longer. So go ahead. You can go ahead and use the laboratory first.
Thank you. I'd like to take the umbrella with me so I don't get soaked when I go to the outhouse.
Okay, yeah, sure. And
he gives you the umbrella.
Thank you.
And he stands there soaking in the rain
Thank
as
you
you
so
stand
much.
in front of the outhouse.
See you soon.
The outhouse is what you'd assume. It's a shed-like structure, and there's like a little half-moonscape inside of it. And you open the door and step inside. It's a hole in the ground. And you're standing in front of what is obviously this toilet. It's kind of maintained, but not super well done. And as you close the door, you can hear Timothy outside going,
you even though there's this horrible pouring rain, this is pretty nice country out here. I mean, me and the missus could definitely make a farmhouse or something out here.
I'm gonna ignore that comment and just try and do my business.
You try to do your business, and it feels like he keeps bringing up different things to want to talk about. And he starts to talk about the vacation home that him and his wife should come up with, and him and Winifred, and the lightning strikes more and more. But as he begins to keep talking, he starts to keep going on about this vacation home.
We could set it up maybe a mile or two from here. Maybe there would be something we could all live and die peacefully in. That would be very, very...
You start to hear a guttural scream from outside. It resounds even into the outhouse itself. And as it happens, a light begins to glow more and more and more, brighter and brighter, almost as if as bright as the sun. You have to kind of close your eyes so that way you shield yourself from it. And as you stand there, it begins to dissipate as the scream begins to grow more and more silent. And then all of a sudden, the light just disappears. And you're standing there, hearing nothing from the old gentleman outside of the outhouse.
Sir, are you alright?
No response.
Can anyone hear me at all?
The sound of the rain and thunder and lightning that's still going on, you would be lucky if they could even hear you if they were standing right outside.
I'd like to peek out of the outhouse and see what I can see.
You begin to peek, and this door is so flimsy and shambly made that it just moves on its own practically. You barely put any weight into it. And as you do, you open up to the sight of a pair of shoes, leather shoes worn by the older gentleman, and two piles of ashes sitting in both of them, and the smell of burning flesh entering into your nose. And that is where we will end the very first episode of Descent into Madness Plays Deadlight. Thank you all for watching. Please make sure you give us a follow and give us plenty of your offerings.